Ramblin' Ted coming at you today from Washington, Arkansas. Once the capital of Arkansas, now a state park. The town is actually a state park and a pretty neat place to explore and visit. So we're going to walk around and look at some stuff. This is the Washington Post Office. Right across from the Print Museum, which is a pretty neat place to check out if you're ever here. The old post office has been here since, what did that say? Let's go look. I should have read it, shouldn't I? 1820. Here's my sweet doggo down there. There she is. Pretty quiet here in Washington tonight. This is Sunday, I believe the 14th. Yep. November 14th. Sometimes you come here and it's just packed. But not right now. Some pretty neat historic homes and stuff here that are all part of the park system now. Looks like they're using this one for storage. That was the old saddle shop. Everywhere you turn here, there's just something neat to see. They do a lot of tours. I've done a couple of tours here. They do recreations, historic recreations. Pretty interesting. You'll see people walking around dressed in period correct clothes and stuff. An interesting looking old tree. Right here at Franklin and Hamilton Street. I think that's the last one. What I was saying is right here at Franklin and Hamilton is a really, 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 really large tree. It's pretty amazing when you see this thing. It's a giant dogwood, and it's pretty impressive. What looks like a group of trees right there, that's one tree, and it's hard to even judge the magnitude of that tree without seeing a person next to it. Let me see if I can get a shot where I can give you a little bit of the scope of how big it really is. Like I said, that's a big tree. Man. Gophers. Apparently gophers like the big giant dogwood tree. I'm sorry, I keep calling it dogwood and it's a magnolia. 1839. They planted this tree. Please do not climb. I'm not much of a tree climber, so I won't climb. But it's just pretty amazing to see this tree. It's huge. So big that they've had to put up supports for some of the branches. When you come up underneath this thing, it's almost like being just inside a whole different world. And it is big. That's a big old tree. I can kind of see the appeal, though, of people who would want to climb this thing. I used to think this was the biggest magnolia tree in the state of Arkansas, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check back. I'll leave a little deal on the screen if it is. I can't remember. You would think if it was, though, they would have, something designating it as being the largest in the state of Arkansas, and they don't. Just the sheer size of the trunk of this thing is just pretty amazing. It's a pretty good sized tree. Kind of neat to hang out underneath it. I've spent a couple hours under here before just looking at it. Paula, what are you doing? What are you doing? Good girl. This branch comes off about 20 feet up in the air right there. And goes all the way to the ground. That is crazy. Oh, there's an old house back here. Look at that. Sits up on pilings. It's actually a log house that's been sided over. All part of the park system. It's like going into the past. I can imagine people back then had a little less of the hubbub of our daily lives, but the hubbub of sheer survival on a day-to-day basis might have made up for that. Everywhere I go, I seem to run into a cemetery. And I love cemeteries. Which is kind of funny because I really don't want to be buried in one. I have no desire to have my body preserved in a box in the ground. But I sure do find a lot of them, and I sure do enjoy walking around in them. I wonder where it's at. Is it back through here? I don't think so, because I think that's somebody's house. Well, that was the least to see of any cemetery I've ever been to, because nothing. There's nothing, no headstones that I can see there. So maybe it's been moved, or maybe there just aren't any markers left. Not real sure, but kind of interesting nonetheless. All right, think we're going to head to downtown Washington. Downtown. Lisa just told me she thinks she found the cemetery, so it's up this road, which seems like you're going down a person's driveway. But apparently, oh, I think she did find it. I believe she found something anyway. Let's see what it is. I think she did find it. Looky there. Looks like a cemetery to me. Yep. Just down the road a little ways. Apparently they did a ground penetrating radar imagery of this cemetery, and those spots there are probable graves and possible graves, and there's pictures of where the monuments are. Pretty neat. And then Joseph Crosby is buried here. We've got his obituary. Sarah Virginia Sanders Garland and Augustus H. Garland. There, little Thomas is buried in this cemetery. This is pretty neat. This is an artist's rendition of a relief found on one of the gravestones. It's supposed to be pearly gates, entrance to heaven. Well, it says to see if you can find it, so might have to look for that in here. My first video that I made was about the cemetery in Rondo, Arkansas, which is about 33 miles from here. And oddly enough, this town was the capital of Arkansas during the Civil War. And all the records and everything, when the northern troops got too close, they moved them all to Rondo. And so this is kind of a linked-in video, sort of links into that one a little bit. History is amazing. There are some very old graves here. $1875. 18, yeah. Wow. Elizabeth Wilson. Grave of Joseph Crosby. Always scary when you're in a cemetery and you find a pumpkin laying around that's not rotted. Lisa looked over this fence and she said, "Man, there's a pumpkin over here." So now I'm looking for Ichabod Crane. The Headless Horseman probably threw that at him. It's a lot bigger cemetery than I thought it was. It's got a whole second section that heads back through another fenced area. It's funny, a lot of these graves don't, they've done ground penetrating radar and they don't have headstones or anything anymore because over the years they probably got destroyed or broken or stolen. But almost every place out here looked like, from that picture, there are graves all through here. Pretty cool. I'm really glad Lisa kept looking down that road because I wouldn't have found this place. So she definitely led us to a pretty cool cemetery. Now we're going to head downtown. $1832. This is what I was looking for a little while ago. This is the blacksmith shop. I can remember coming here before, and there was actually a blacksmith in here working, which is pretty cool. Pretty neat thing to see. Yep, it's the old blacksmith shop. James Black, a silversmith, made the original Bowie knife. This was where the first Bowie knife was made. So if you ever had a big Bowie knife, or as I called it growing up, a Bowie knife, because we Iowans didn't know any better, this is the building it was made in. I actually have one that a Native American man made for me and gave to me, that if I had to buy that knife it'd probably be about $400. I felt like I was pretty blessed. But yeah, this is the building where they made the first Bowie knife. Of course they reconstructed it in the 60s, but most of it was still here. Seen some stuff, I'm sure, but they still do demonstrations of blacksmithing and stuff inside. It's a pretty neat thing to come see. I know since this isn't smell-o-vision you can't smell it, but this is all fresh burnt coal and it smells like burnt wood. Pretty sure the electric meter is a newer addition though. Just saying. Right across the street, this big old structure. This is a schoolhouse. Washington High School. (1914). Not sure when the last classes were used, or held here, I mean. But it's possible. They may still be doing classes today. I'm not real sure. I doubt it. I think they probably go to another town up the road now, because Washington does not have a big population. Some beds in there. Pretty neat. Maybe it was used as a boarding school at one time or something. I've been here several times, but never even come over and looked around this building for some reason. I'm not sure why. Interesting place here. Very interesting. And I'm not sure what that is dead ahead. But you can bet I'm going to go over there and find out, right? Let's see. It's probably a well. One of the more interesting wells I've ever seen, but that's probably what it is. Yeah, that's got to be a well. Don't know that I've ever seen one exactly like that, but sure is interesting, isn't it? Found a couple markers back here, talking about the Choctaw Long Walk to Indian Territory. 7 days from their new homes. This would be part of the Trail of Tears, and I have very strong feelings about that. Being as how I'm somewhere between an eighth and a quarter, probably closer to a quarter, Blackfoot Indian. My grandmother was nearly 3/4 Blackfoot, I believe. Anyway, and then I'm half German. My mom immigrated from Germany right after World War II. But I just have strong feelings about the way the native people in this country were treated. I mean, the past is the past, and we learn from it, like I always say. But it's just a tough one for me every year. I'm proud of my country. I'm proud of that I'm an American. But I also realize that, we're not perfect, and things happened in the past that we shouldn't be proud of. and we should look back on those things, and there's nothing wrong with feeling a little bit of shame at all, because you should be ashamed of some things, and that's one of them. But anyway, soapbox for the day right there. Neat little building. I could live in there. I don't require much. It's just, just a place to lay down and stay dry. I'm pretty good. So far, been pretty interesting here. Ooh, man, this is a steep hill. Oh, Lord. Woo. I'm feeling all my years on that one. Now, I've been promising this for quite a while, but we're going to actually head towards the downtown, towards the courthouse and stuff, which is just amazing and beautiful. So, if I can find Lisa and Paula, we'll head that way. Paula made a stray friend that came running up and scared the crap out of me. He's got no collar, probably a stray. Seems friendly enough, but yeah, he looks pretty healthy. Hopefully he has a home. You can just imagine being the 1800's and taking a carriage through here. I think that dog knows exactly where he's going. This part of town, they've really left it looking like it did back in the 1800's. Old outbuildings and everything. Building right here is the old jail. The jail bed and breakfast. Yeah, you can check in, but they might not let you out. I wonder if you have to check in for a certain amount of time.
I got you a reservation there.
You got me a reservation? Oh, they'd probably they'd send me home. They wouldn't keep me very long. I'm surprised I've never had to check in to that one. And this in front of us is the courthouse. And this was the, back in the day, was the Capitol building and everything. I came here years and years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was my friend Faith and her boyfriend. Took part in a reenactment that they do, and they get you in there in the courthouse and they give you slips of paper for you to ask. And it's a reenactment of an actual court proceedings. And the stuff written on the paper is things that people actually asked. And it was pretty interesting to be part of it. You know, it really kind of sucks you into the history a little bit. And they were all the people that work here and live around here will dress up in period costumes, and they stay in character. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. That's just a beautiful building. Well, that's just about going to do it from Washington, Arkansas. If you ever get a chance, come down here. Especially come down like a Saturday afternoon or something. They've got a restaurant you can eat at. They have all kinds of stuff going on here. And it's pretty neat. It's really, really cool. And if you go to their website, which if you look up Washington, historic Washington, Arkansas, you should be able to find their website. And they list on there all the different things that they're going to do and everything. But wow. You know, if I were more handsome, that would be a great shot right there. You know, I could always wish I was more handsome, right? I'm doing all right for an old guy. Anyway, I'll catch you next week. Remember, videos every Monday. Something interesting every week. And costs nothing to be nice to each other. Ramblin' Ted out. See you next time.